Hello, hello. Bl'Artagnan here, bringing you Alexander's Divine Lufenia. Divine Alexander's Lufenia? Oh, fuck it. This is the last time I'm trying this stupid-ass stage. I wanted to clear it without using Aerith, because Aerith, she's basically the MVP for the stage and has featured in an overwhelming number of the clears I've seen for it. So I wanted to try to clear it without using that, or the Gladio cheese, obviously. And I wanted to bring Y'shtola through it. Partially because I think she can fill in for Aerith pretty well, and partially because I like Y'shtola and enjoy spreading propaganda for her, despite certain weaknesses she has that really make her a bit of a liability in this stage, actually. I'll get into that later. There's also an opportunity for me to show off my shiny new Golbez LD. So, the team structure is actually pretty similar to the other team I used to clear this, only with Golbez standing in for Vivi and Y'shtola standing in for Aerith. It's kind of funny, you could make the argument that each of them is a downgrade for different reasons, but I'm not going to slight Golbez in his own event. He is quite good here. Meanwhile, Garland's just doing Garland things. That nice chunky EX attack. So, this fight, it's interesting to me. It was kind of fun to play, but also kind of frustrating, because it has a lot of mechanics that, if they stack on top of each other, can really mess you up. But there's kind of a clear pacing to them, so if you can navigate them, it was sort of fun, but it was also kind of frustrating. I had a hard time at judging how I felt about this fight, truthfully. One of the things I was navigating was what you're seeing here. I'm trying to bring Alexander below 80% going into Golbez's turn, but I fail to. So I have to use Hope's LD call in order to send him into that blue aura state so that Golbez can break him, because I don't really trust the rest of my team to shave that much. Like, Garland might have been able to, but he was 2 turns after he would have gone under, and it was a whole... I didn't trust it. It's actually a lucky thing, too, that misses. Because as bad as it felt to drop Hope LD this early in the fight, it ends up actually really saving my bacon a little bit. I'll point it out, but it was a bit of a surprise when I kind of walked into some good play, basically. But yeah, in the meantime, we're just shaving and punching. So we're getting to the second recast, and that's kind of a scary one, because that's the one where if he breaks you after, or if you're not at full health, you get messed up. You get your turns deleted, you get delayed, you get confused, blinded. It's insane. The thing is, Y'shtola, she has she has an interesting quality that makes her actually pretty terrible at dealing with that whole situation. I brought her thinking, well, she full heals, that'll be great, and she batteries, that'll be great. The reason she's actually kind of challenging to use against the second recast, hilariously, is, of all things, she lacks a basic normal Brave attack. All of her Brave attacks have been... Her regular Brave attack is replaced by her special, like, LD Brave attack. And what this means is she kind of has 2 modes. She either batteries the party... this is after the recast happens. She's either going to full heal the party with her EX and then have to, battery to full with Medica, or use Stone, Scion's Arrow, Scion's Holy, something, and drop to at most 12 to 14k Brave, which is not enough to prevent being broken by the all attack that follows. However, in this case, because of Hope's LD call, we actually have enough overflow hit points there that we can use Medica to heal, and which means we can avoid capping the party's Brave, because otherwise we'd have, EX into Medica, that would have capped us easily and been a counter, set to 0 set type thing. So that was how Hope's call came in earlier there. We are going to eat the counter there, which kind of sucks, but we can deal. We're getting now to the 50% mark. So we're going to... this is, again, a kind of thing where it's like, well, after his next attack, he goes into another recast phase, and we can't really I don't want to have to navigate that plus the, drop him below 50 at the same time. Basically, if you let any of his mechanics stack up twice, it gets really complicated. So I'm summoning here, and using Garland's battery EX to push him under 50%, so that Golbez can now just pop his LD and break him. He might have been able to pull it off with the free skill, but I didn't want to take the chance. Golbez has tremendous longevity, so you can afford to toss an LD out there if you need massive, massive shaving. So we just managed to time that 8-turn window that we have to attack him before he goes invincible. And now he's back in the recast phase, and this is the third recast, meaning we're kind of safe after he does it. He's not going to completely mess us up, which is great. Part of why I brought the Hope, and you see the Ignis calls there, was to give my 2 damage dealers ways to battery the party if we could get each troll in front of them as a way of kind of circumventing the second and fourth recasts. Hope ended up kind of letting us do that with the second one, but not in the way I expected it to. So I actually went ahead and used each troll as EX there to get the max Brave buff on everyone, even though we're going to be eating that attack soon, figuring I should be able to recharge it in time with all the turn jumping she does. I'm also getting increasingly aware that we're getting close to that 30% mark for that last blue phase, which should represent the last time we really need to tiptoe around this guy. That's the thing, Alexander has a lot of tiptoeing, and if you're not bringing a really high-powered, high-offense team, you can find yourself in an awkward spot where you need to waste time kind of navigating around his mechanics while the turn count inches up. As a side note, each troll's free Medica turns have been pretty great in terms of keeping the turn count down. That was not the greatest, knocking each troll back after everyone, but we can deal with that. So, I actually make the decision here to use Garland's EX. Well, okay. First I Sagefire, I forgot about that. I do Sagefire first, and then I use the EX. Even though this is going to push him below 30, because I actually have one last trick in my back pocket for dealing with the blue phase. In the form of Ultimecia. Her LD call is great because both of her attacks shave percentage based, so even though the Brave attacks are kind of reduced through the blue aura, the 2 calls together definitely are able to shave there. And that gets us out of trouble, which is nice. So now we basically... Ideally, we're going to try to kill him before he gets his 4th recast off, because, as I've said a few times, that's kind of the problem for this team, is navigating that. So we're going to go ahead and tag in Drusane, frequent TCC host and fellow X-Death enthusiast. Shout out to Drusane, who his Garland's going to actually use his burst effect to give my Garland a better burst phase. I felt a little bit silly doing this when I popped it, but now that we're past the 30% mark and we have 2 turns to go before the recast phase, this is the time to cut loose and start just going crazy and trying to get as many Garland-fueled BT attacks in. Because once he goes in that recast phase, between the recast itself and that gold aura he gets after 8 turns, our damage is going to drop pretty dramatically. Not to mention the HP requirement if he happens to hit Drusane with the recast, God help us. Luckily he was targeting Garland there. I mean Golbez, who's a tanky boy. But it is now time for us to just cut loose and hit him as hard as we can with basically everything we got. So he's now in the recast phase, and so we basically have 8 actions to kill him. If we can't, then he's going into the golden... He's getting that gold aura, becoming immune to damage until he acts, and that's it's basically game. I mean, we could tiptoe around it again if we, I don't know, spam A's on Garland to bring back Y'shtola or something ridiculous, but I don't really want to have to deal with that. Again, we have an Ignis Call as a emergency backup if it really comes down to it, but with 3% to go, we're not going to need that. We're throwing LDs at him, we're throwing, EXs at him, we're basically, we're home free. And so with that, there we go. Alexander cleared without Aerith. Golbez showed up, but I think, I think that's acceptable here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Consider liking and subscribing if you did. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.